Welcome to a brand new episode of Back Pass with Ras. I was just so tempted. I was about to say Back Pass X Ballistic Khalsa, but no, this is not that show. This is Back Pass with Ras, and it's Ras manning the fort on my own this time. No Kel as well this week. It's been a long time since we had an episode. The last time we had one was on Chelsea. It was some time back, I think, but probably in early parts of this year, probably January. Didn't check on that. But anyways, yes, we're back with a brand new episode. You can already guess. Those of you watching on YouTube, you can already guess what we're going to speak about today based on what's in my background. But for those listening in to us on any of the podcasters, that's Spotify, Apple, Google, whichever podcast that we are on, do not fret. We'll tell you what we're going to speak about really soon. In any case, we've also dropped in our merchandise. So let me just share a look of it. This is it. This is the merchandise that we are selling. The Back Pass with Ras merchandise. The theme is European theme. So we focus on players, European players and European teams. In the 90s. Yeah. So that's the focus of this t-shirt. So this is what is on sale. We ship worldwide as well. So those of you again on YouTube, you would have been able to see the design, which is modeled by our very own Kel. It's not here today, but he's still here in spirit. So that's that. So right, guys, this week I've got two guests with me. Let me bring them on. As you can see as well in the background again. So I've got one of my guests. I'll tell you what the show is all about. Those of you listening in and not viewing us on YouTube. And first up, I've got someone I've known for quite some time. It's his second appearance on Back Pass with Ras. Mr. Muhammad Fadzli, who's a teacher. He's a coach. He used to be my mate in police, in the Singapore Police Force. So he's very well spoken. He contributes regularly to our posts on Facebook. And so it's a pleasure to have you on the show, Fadzli. How are you doing?
Hello, Ras. Thank you. Thank you for having me back. Good to be back.
Yeah, and school holidays in Singapore, is it going fine for you?
Yeah, so far been okay.
Not bogging you down with extra work, I hope.
No.
Okay. And joining us again for the second time. In fact, both these gentlemen appeared on our World Cup countdown shows for different tournaments, rather. Ram, part of the Plot Malaysia.
Yes.
And Ram, what's happened to Port Malaysia? How's it going?
It's actually we are going to restart very, very soon. It's going to be a reboot. Thanks Ras, for having me on the show as well. Following your shows a lot, and I love what you do. So yeah, glory, Man United, man. Good to be back.
Yes, so that gives it away for those of you listening in to us on Spotify and any of our audio podcasts. We're going to speak about the treble season of 1999. Manchester United, of course, won that treble season, so we're going to speak about that.
Okay.
Fadzli and Ram are both United fans, and Fadzli has got a guest as well on the show. Hello, how are you doing?
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Young one.
Come with us.
Look at that, cutie. How are you?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we can see your car.
Yeah, we can see your car. Yeah, indeed. Okay, Fadzli and Ram, very quickly, which year did you both become United fans?
For me,
Fadzli,
I
go
think.
first, Fadzli.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Ram. For me, I think
Okay, I'll say 1996. I became a United fan in 1996.
Okay.
Okay. For me, I think it would be around 94, 93, 94.
All right. Okay. So I'm also a United fan. For those who do not know, I'm also a United fan from 1991. So today we're going to speak about a treble. But before we speak about a treble, let's go a season back to the season 1997-1998. I'll throw this out to Ram. What was your memory of that season?
Oh boy, how do I even start? I was 15 years old. Secondary 3. That was when football became like so heavily
In
enthusiastic.
97-98, you were 15 years old.
sorry, I was 14 going on 15, so it was just about, watching football whenever you can, because you don't get those kind of cable visions anymore, and always you look at those, whatever you can get, the new paper, for example, just looking at scores, but I think overall, just supporting the team of United and watching them score lots of goals, that was my that was my memory at that time. And of course, Eric Cantona, who can forget him, So that was
Mm.
the time that I really, really enjoyed watching a lot of football. And yeah, that was my biggest memory of United at that time. Still very young, yeah, very fresh.
Oh, okay, yeah. Pretty fresh because you started sporting in 96, so that would have
Yeah,
been probably 1 year into
1 year.
your spell as a United fan.
Yeah.
Fadzli, for you, probably more memories since it's a bit on with times now. You probably started 93, 94, so you've got about a good 3-4
3-4
years
seasons. Yeah.
since this season 97, 98.
Mm.
What were your memories of that season?
I think 97, 98, all I think of is collapse because the
Yeah.
season promised so much. But towards the business end of the season, injuries crept in, and then United trying to compete on three fronts. But then I remember Giggs getting injured, and then no
Yeah.
cover in left midfield. And
Yeah.
then Peter Schmeichel getting injured in the home loss to Arsenal, which Arsenal won, and then subsequently had the momentum to overtake United in the run into the title. So it was like the season had many good moments. Like I remember the 5-3 win at Stamford Bridge in the
Yeah.
FA Cup third round, leading 5-0 at one point.
Yep.
And then there was also the 7-0 win at Old Trafford with Andy Cole's hat trick, which I thought
Barnsley, right?
I think it like in a way like restarted his run to form in terms of the goal scoring. Because before that he was always like being blamed for like missing chances. There was
Missing
always this
chances,
perception
yeah.
that Andy
Yeah.
Cole needed many chances to score, which I thought was quite inaccurate. But popular opinion sometimes just trumps facts. So I think so 97, 98 reminded me like when I think of that, I think a lot of pain towards the end of the season, like getting knocked out at Old Trafford with David Trezeguet's goal against Monaco.
Yeah.
Then we had
Yeah.
the injury pile up and everything. So yeah, it was very painful because it promised so much at the start, but then end up with nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Same sentiments as me. It was the first season after Eric Cantona's retirement as well. Teddy Sheringham came in. We started the season on fire. We're leading the league. And then, as you said, it collapsed. First, we lost Roy Keane to a season-ending injury. Yeah, you
At
remember
Leeds, correct.
that's where
And then
the
we also
feud
lost
between
that
him
game.
and Alfinger Holland started
Yeah, that's true.
at Leeds United. Holland was at Leeds United, so that's where where he got injured, and then their feud started. So that was a blow. And then you spoke about Giggs getting injured. I remember, Ben Tonley coming in to replace him and never looked quite the part. And as you mentioned, Schmeichel got injured. United got knocked out of the Champions League on away goals rule. I think we were pretty confident we could beat Monaco because we drew 0-0 in the first leg and thought,
correct.
okay, coming to Old Trafford, we're going to beat them and we'll go through. But then we got humbled by Monaco. And then, Arsenal, that Arsenal team as well, the start of the rivalry is in that season, 97, 98, because the first match we had against Arsenal at Highbury was also very entertaining. 3-2 we lost, but still very entertaining because at that time I didn't know about anyone called Patrick Vieira and Nicolas Anelka. And suddenly they announced themselves to us in that game, and whoa. So that's then after that they ran on to win the league, overtake us and win the league. So so in a nutshell, 97, 98 showed us that United was lacking in squad depth. Is that right to say?
Yeah, that would be the theme of that season, I would say.
Yeah. So then in the summer of 98, of course, United responded.
Yeah.
Signing players. First, probably Jaap Stam. Anyone heard of Jaap Stam before he came to United?
No, I had no clue. I had no clue.
Yeah, the World Cup was a good watch though, because when he was signed, then we got to see him in the World Cup, and I thought he did very well, especially in the semi-final against Brazil. He and Ronaldo, it was a very good battle between the two of them. Yeah, so I was like, oh, this is exciting to see.
Yeah, precisely, because in those days we probably wouldn't know much about players outside
Yeah.
outside the leagues you watch. So probably English league, or if like in my case I watched the Italian league. So that's all I would know of. And of course we watch the Champions League, but we can't watch as extensively as we can today. So yeah, not much knowledge. And Yap Stam, never heard of him. We signed him, and then the World Cup came, and then that gave us an opportunity to look at him closely. That's the first signing. Jesper Blomqvist, there's another signing we made. He's a player that I knew before because he gave United a tough time in the Champions League when he was playing for IFK Gothenburg. That was when United had just recently
it
won
was in
the Premier League.
94.
Yeah, 94, 95, around that period. So I remembered him, and then he went on to play for AC Milan and Parma. So I knew a bit of him. But of course, I knew after Ryan Giggs' injury in 97, 98, we needed someone to cover him because we had no one. And good signing, I felt at that time.
Did Blomqvist strike you as a player with quality in your time watching Serie A when he was at Parma, Ras?
No.
No.
Yeah, because I think at that time he struggled for both Italian clubs at AC Milan and Parma. Didn't make an impact at all.
Even at Parma, he was struggling.
Yeah, he didn't make an impact at all in both times. And but of course, that overriding memories of that time when he was playing for IFK Gothenburg. So yeah, and then finally Ram, this one.
Yeah,
we eventually signed Dwight York when the season was already underway. I think probably 1 or 2 games into the season, we eventually signed Dwight York. But do you remember of the names that we were linked to before we signed Dwight York?
There were, for strikers, I believe there were a lot of high-profile strikers that were linked to, like Ronaldo, like a few players that were linked to, like Clivert, all these kind of players. Of course, from the World Cup, like all the strikers that actually was promising in the World Cup. So we had a lot of big names, a few Brazilians here and there.
Actually, not Ronaldo. There's another guy. He's Argentinian.
What's his name now?
Ortega, no.
Batistuta.
Yes, Batistuta.
Gabriel Batistuta, yes, absolutely.
Batistuta was the other one. I was really excited when I heard his name being linked to United, but eventually we signed Dwight York. Okay, we know about Dwight York from the Premier League, having played for Aston Villa.
Yep.
So what's he all about? But you wouldn't really say that, this signing stands out like, wow, fantastic signing, high profile signing. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there we are, you've got Dwight York in the team joining us. And then we'll speak a bit about his contribution later. But let's talk about the road to the treble, guys.
Yeah.
It was a treacherous road to the treble. Would you agree with me?
It was a very winding road, I have to say. But I have to be honest that it was very exciting at the same time. Like, I can tell you honestly, guys, like watching that team play football was the most exciting football I've seen, being at that age. Like countless number of exciting moments, bad moments, whatever you have, it could not be. I think nowadays you can't really get that anymore, but we had that, and that was the best part. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, it started from the first game of the season, first league game of the season. We were losing 2-0 at home to Leicester. And right at the date, we scored 2 goals to draw, 2-2.
David Beckham.
Both free kicks. Yeah. So that set the tone for the season, perhaps. We didn't know about it, of course, at that time. But that set the tone. But when you talk about treacherous path to the treble, what I want to point out is, first of all, let's look at the league. We pushed all the way to the final day by Arsenal. We'll talk about the final games in the next segment, but just the league itself, we were pushed all the way to the final day by Arsenal. And Arsenal, they were coming in confident, our biggest rivals and challengers at that time. They just won the double as well the previous season.
Yep.
Their squad was better now, more confident, of course, and it wasn't easy because it wasn't like, it wasn't like Manchester United and Arsenal will just, miles apart everyone, because both teams slipped up against other teams in the league as well. So it wasn't that easy a path to the league title.
Yeah.
any games that you felt stand out for you from the league in that season?
Stand out. I mean, in the league, I enjoyed the 8-1 victory over Nottingham Forest, I would say. I enjoyed that one for sure. Yep. We had some high scoring moments in that season, so it was really good. Yep.
Fadzli, for yourself?
I think for me, one of the games that stuck in my actually for me there were two. One was the win at Southampton 3-0 where we beat them at the Dell. So because the previous couple of seasons United lost with
6-3.
strange scorelines. They lost 3-1 with the Grey Kid, and then the following season we lost 6-3. Yeah, with that game. And then so to finally win that, to me it felt like, oh, maybe something's happening. Like maybe there is something special about the season.
It was a tough place to play at. The Dell was a tough place to play at. Yeah.
Then another one was the home game with Middlesbrough. I think it was Boxing Day, because it was the last time. Yeah, it was the last time that United would lose in the league until the end of the season. But also because it was it was a crazy game. A lot of bad defending. Hamilton Ricard scored very silly goals, and then Gary Pallister played an absolute blinder on his return to OT. So I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It was a very strange game
Middlesbrough was a boogie team that time, that time. They were a boogie team. Every time you play Middlesbrough, oh man, it's bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. Those two matches you brought out, especially the Middlesbrough one, because that was, I felt, as you said, the turning point. Because I remember, I think in that game we were probably 3-0 down at home on Boxing Day at one point. And we came back, I think 3-1, 3-2, something like that. But we still lost. But as you said,
the story of the season.
Middlesbrough wasn't really like a fantastic team or standout team or what, but for us they were a boogie team, no doubt, and that probably woke us up. So that's the league. That's the league done. In terms of challenges, besides Arsenal, let me just take a look at it at the league table. So you had Arsenal, you had Chelsea was next, and Chelsea finished the season just 4 points, 4 points behind us. So not that bad. Quite pretty close challenges. I think I want to point out our games against Liverpool. Especially the game at Anfield, because it was quite near the end of the season where we drew 2-2. And a certain Paul Ince scored for Liverpool, and that was like, for a person like me who supported United from 91, and Paul Ince has been one of our talisman, one of our vital cogs in our team at that time.
And he also went to Inter.
Yes, and he went to Inter. Yeah, of course. After that, he went to
for
Inter,
you,
which for me felt like going from one family to the other. But then coming back to play for Liverpool and scoring at Anfield against us as the captain of Liverpool, oh man, that felt a bit like a dagger in the heart, because it was very close to the end of the season. 5th of May here, I'm checking, and every single point dropped at that point, is like,
potentially title deciding.
Potentially title deciding, and scary to say the least. So from the Premier League, let's go to the FA Cup. No easy path there as well. We had Middlesbrough. Let me just refresh your memory. In the third round, we had Middlesbrough at home, which we won. But the fourth round, that was one hell of a game. Do you remember who we played in that game?
Was that the Liverpool one?
Yes.
The one with
we played Liverpool.
Michael Owen.
Michael Owen scored
or something. And OGS with the winner.
And once again we left it till death.
At the death.
It was an amazing game. It was an amazing game. I remember this game very well because my tuition teacher back then, God rest his soul, he was my maths tuition teacher, and he used to bet with us, because he's an MU fan as well. And he used to make sure that we used to get the correct score, and we used to win some money from that. And I put the score 2-1. I remember that very, very clearly. I put the score 2-1. And I was looking at 1-0. We were losing all the way until the 88th minute. And I was like, okay, I've gone, But when I saw those 2 goals, I remember I celebrated so loudly that my auntie that I was staying with downstairs, she thought something happened upstairs. What the hell? That was the memory of the game.
Yeah, man. I mean, what I remember of that game was lots of chances. United had so many chances to score before that, and
Ah,
we just couldn't score. It's just wasn't our day. The keeper either saved it, ball maybe went wide, went over. So many chances we
hit the
created. Completely,
post. Roy
yeah,
Keane hit the
completely,
post.
yeah, completely dominated Liverpool. It
Yeah,
just felt like it wasn't our day, and then suddenly the 2 goals right at the date. I mean, yeah, it's pandemonium. Correct for us,
Yeah.
especially us beating Liverpool. It's
yeah.
always
In the last
pandemonium when
minute.
you win it like that. Yeah, in the last minute like that, of course, it was crazy. So that was one crazy game.
Mm.
Going on to who we're going to play next. After that, okay, Fulham, we beat Fulham in the 5th round. And then in the 6th round, which is the quarterfinals, we had a tough opponent again. It wasn't easy. This opponent was Chelsea. So
Chelsea.
Chelsea, okay, this time Chelsea wasn't the Jose Mourinho Chelsea. It wasn't the Roman Abramovich Chelsea. But still, Chelsea had already developed this reputation of being a cup team.
Yep.
They're winning cups, they're winning FA Cups and Cup Winners' Cup and all those strong team. And as I mentioned, the league as well, they finished third, which isn't too bad. They quite good achievement for Chelsea. They were building a good squad already at this point in time. They drew against us at Old Trafford, so we had to force an extra game.
Replay.
Yeah, go for a replay, and we finally beat them at Stamford Bridge to go through to the semi-finals. Now, semi-finals, of course, everyone remembers that.
Oh,
The Giggs goal.
yeah. How do you forget that? That's
Yeah. But almost everyone seems to have forgotten the Beckham goal, which was also a very good strike in itself.
It was a
Yes.
beautiful strike.
If you look at the replay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the game should have also been settled in the first leg, first
Mm.
semi-final itself. I remember, if I remember correctly, United had a goal disallowed in that first semi-final. So we could have settled in the first semi-final, but of course the gods of football didn't wanted that.
Yeah.
They wanted extra drama, and we got drama in bucket loads in the replay.
Yeah.
And we were 10 men. We were 10 men down in the replay.
Yeah. Considered a penalty.
Yeah.
Saved,
it was the moment Schmeichel saved the penalty. I tell you guys, honestly, I knew we were going to win it. Like that feeling just crept in. Like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to win this game.
Yeah, I
And
remember
at that
facing
point, I
the
think-
penalty. Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
like, oh, is this the moment where everything just ends? Then suddenly,
Yeah,
boom, the same.
correct. Exactly. The same thought as well. I mean, at that point in time, probably we were all students, and this game was
Yeah.
played in the early hours of the morning on a schooling day.
Yeah.
I remember I didn't wake up to watch the entirety of the game, but near the end, I woke up just in time to see Phil Neville giving away the foul, and my heart sank when the referee gave the penalty, and I mean, you can't debate that at all. It's a penalty.
Yeah.
And when Schmeichel saved it, oh, what a relief. You just felt like it was your year.
Yeah. And it was against Bergkamp, by the way. So you never expected Schmeichel to save that, right? So
Yeah. Bergkamp such a good penalty taker and also a good footballer as well.
Yeah.
So, and then Giggs scoring that goal, and you watch it live. I mean, we can watch it now on YouTube, can watch it on TV.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same essence as watching it live as it unfolded. Took on one, took on two, took on three. Giggs could have done this kind of thing. He's done it before, but we never expected him to do it like that from the middle line, picking up the ball, beating so many, going all the way, and then smashing it into the top corner.
Yeah, and he ran at a
Amazing.
very high speed also. So it wasn't just that. It wasn't like he was like taking his time and everything. He did it at very high speed, twisting and turning.
Yeah.
In his typical jinking style, You don't have that. Nowadays, we don't get that kind of players who do those kind of runs, jinking in left and right. That was what a goal that was. And for me, I mean, no disrespect to Newcastle in the final, but that was the final. United United against Arsenal in the semi-final was the final. Whoever won that would have won the cup.
Yeah.
Yep. And then moving on to Champions League, not an easy group to be in. You got Bayern Munich, you got Barcelona. Okay, Brøndby, a bit of a pushover, but still Bayern Munich and Barcelona. We drew both games against those two teams.
Yeah.
But the games against Barcelona were probably the epic ones.
Six
3-3
goals.
home and away.
Yeah.
3-3.
3-3 home and away. Oh man. But I think I'll just point out, I mean, up to you. You guys want to bring out any games from the group stage game, please feel free to do so. But I want to point out the second game against Barcelona at Nou Camp.
Mm.
Barcelona took the lead very early on in the game. They were dominating. I felt like, I felt like United were rocking. United were, shaky.
Yeah.
Because I remember the last time United played Barcelona at Nou Camp in a Champions League match, we got hammered 4-0. So to be 1-0 down so early in the game, I feared our chances. But slowly we steadied the ship. We got one back, and then the York and Cole goal.
Yeah.
But who did it? Who finished that? Was it York or was it Cole? We
Was
remember the
Cole.
movements, but who finished
Mm.
it?
Was
Was
right.
it York or Cole?
Cole finished
Was
it.
Cole? Fadzli?
I
Was
think
it
so.
York or Cole?
I think it was Andy Cole. I remember dummy, and then dummy from Dwight York, I think, and then
Yeah.
Andy Cole finished it off.
Yeah, so York scored twice that day and Cole scored once.
Yep.
So yeah, that was an epic game. Thankfully, we steadied the ship, because if not, I think we would have been in for hiding, and of course, then our Champions League dreams would have ended.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but any other games you want to pick up from that group? Maybe the earlier games against Bayern or the first game against Barcelona. Anyone want to speak about that, or can I move on, or shall I move on?
I think for me, like, because at that time, I think the group stage was the only part of that campaign where I didn't really get to watch that much. So it was more about like going to school, looking for the new paper to read. So I remember the first game was 3-3, but I also
Yeah.
remember the Brøndby game. There was like apparently one of the Brøndby players remarked that Andy Cole is not a good striker. So in that game, he scored like he scored, I think, 3 goals or something. There was 1-6-2 win or something, if I remember
6-2.
correctly lah.
Correct.
So so it
6-2
was like,
away from home. Yep.
yeah. So when I read the United magazine, I mean that was how I followed the team one way. So when I read the comments, so apparently there were quotes attributed to the player. So there was what Andy Cole revealed lah. So it was like, this is what he said about me. So yeah, I just let my football do the talking, something like that lah.
Yeah, the games in the 6-2 one, I think Giggs scored twice. Cole, Keane, York, Solskjaer were the scorers that day. And the reverse fixture was 5-0 at Old Trafford. Beckham, Cole, Phil Neville, York, and Scholes. These were the scorers.
Okay.
Yeah, so we navigated a tough group, got out of it, entered the knockout stages. Who do we meet?
Inter.
Yes, in the quarterfinal.
Quarterfinals, yeah.
What a tough game for me personally to watch.
You were torn.
I was literally torn for the first time ever in my life. I mean, Inter and United have played together in preseason, have played each other in preseason matches, but never in a competitive match since I've been a fan, at least. And then this happened. I was like, oh man, who do I support? And
Who do you love more, Russ? Who do you love more? Just curious.
Oh, very, very difficult for me to say who do I love more. It's like choosing between your 2 children.
That's tough.
Yeah, so not easy at all. So yeah, that was the only game where I felt numb, because regardless of the result, I know one team would go through, one team would go out, and it had to be. I left it to the best team, made the best team win, and
yeah, you'll be happy and sad at the same time.
Yeah, true, correct. And that Inter team was also quite strong. They qualified top of the group ahead of Real Madrid.
Yeah.
They had Ronaldo, they had Baggio,
Zamorano.
Yes. Zamorano, Nicola
Jokaev.
Ventola also. He was a kid at that time.
And
And Baggio also. If you remember.
Javier Zanetti. Zanetti was there, right?
Zanetti was there.
Zanetti was there.
Simeone was there. The Simeone and Beckham reunite at Old Trafford. Yeah. And Jokaev was there as well.
Yeah.
So Inter had a pretty good forward line at least, but I mean they're quite doubtful when they are in their defense and in the defensive side of things, like even defensive midfield as well. Quite doubtful. They had Pagliuca and goal, so great goalkeeper. But yeah,
Bergomi at the back also.
Yeah, Bergomi. That's the best defender Inter had. But he was also getting on in age. But yeah, tough game for United to face, and I think the job was done in the first leg when we won 2-0.
Yeah.
Mm.
Both Beckham's cross.
Yeah, Beckham's cross.
Both from crosses. Yeah, both from
Yep.
crosses, and he did the trick.
Yep.
In the second leg, I think Inter was completely dominating the game. That they were pushing United hard. United had a rear guard action, defended well, and then Inter eventually scored once, but Scholes got the
Scholes got the
vital away goal.
equalizer.
Yeah,
I
he
thought
got the
Henningberg
equalizer.
played very well in the second leg, considering by then he was like third choice or fourth choice as a centre back for much
Who?
of the season. Henningberg. He played in the
yes,
away leg.
yes.
Remember with the
Yeah.
goal line clearance and everything. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, although he hadn't had a lot of match time up to that point, I thought he played very well. So I was like, oh, it's really like it's good to have such good cover at the back in that sense.
Yeah. And also at that, I mean, Ronnie Johnson is a good player, but he got injured quite often as well. So
yeah,
he had some issues with his injuries. And then after navigating past Inter, who do we face in the semi-final?
Yeah,
Juventus have been to consecutive Champions League finals leading up to this season. They won once, they lost the other two, and now here they are in the semi-finals. They have given us a tough time. They've played us in the Champions League. They've beaten us, not made it easy for us to. It's not been easy for United to beat Juventus. Yeah. And I mean, the first leg I didn't watch again. I mean, the problem, of course, we all share is because of the timing of the matches. That's why we can't watch these matches. But by all accounts, didn't look like United.
United struggled at OT.
At home. Yeah,
I watched that game because I think Zidane, Conte, and I think Deschamps. They actually dominated the game.
Yeah.
And
so
then after
United
that,
struggled,
got
but then
the equalizer.
Eventually late in the game, United got an equalizer, which was vital. And then came the epic second leg.
Oh, that was a brilliant game in my opinion. I woke up. I remember I woke up 3 a.m. to watch that game. I was
and then to see Inzaghi score twice.
Yeah. I was sneaking from my bedroom to watch that game, out of permission. I remember that very well. I was watching the game. The first thing you see is Filippo Inzaghi coming on, and he scores so early in the game, and then he adds another goal blunder by for Schmeichel as well on that note. And you thought that's it, game over. Game over. I woke up at 3 o'clock for nothing, but I said, okay, I'll watch it. And then as the time went on, when you saw Keane score the goal, and then everything just like, oh, there's hope. And that, I think that to me has the ingredients for like how we said against Arsenal, it was like the final of the FA Cup, right? I think this was like the final for me in a way, of the Champions League, because there's so much of drama, and it led to where we were at that point of time. Yeah.
All right. So in my case, I woke up a bit later than that. So when I woke up, it was already 2-2. And then I saw I think York or someone, York trying to round Peruzzi. He was brought down in the box, and then Andy Cole just tapped it in,
and then scored the goal.
Then that just sealed the deal, and like, wow, okay, because the way the game unfolded, of course, Juventus is known to be a tough defensive team. They're not easy to break down, and to be leading 2-0, and especially in those days, Italian teams, if they are in the lead, it's very tough to come back into the game. It's close shop. It's game over. It's tough for anyone to come back into the game. And Juventus has always been a team that, as I said, has always given us problem. And the belief he showed, led by Roy Keane, I would say, Keane, dragging the team, getting the first goal in, and then making it 2-2, 3-2. An amazing comeback from United and going through to the final.
Yeah.
So now, final day of the season in the Premier League, playing at the same time as Arsenal. We just needed a win to clinch the title. Easier said than done. We were playing at home. You'd think, okay. Yeah. I remember the crowd was really by our side. We were we were miles away, but I'm sure we were also on the edge of seats, cheering them on.
Yeah.
Part one of the treble. And guess what happens? We were losing 1-0 at halftime.
Yeah, less Ferdinand.
Right?
Yeah.
Les Ferdinand with a goal. Was that their only shot on target, perhaps in the first half?
Yeah, something like that.
It was a crazy goal. It was like a freak
Yeah.
goal. Like I think it was a very well scored goal. I mean, Schmeichel was caught off guard, and I never knew such a looping kick like what he did resulted going into the net. I thought it was going above or hit the bar or something, but it just went in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
So we had,
remember Ian Walker making lots of saves. Save
yeah,
after save. Yeah.
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 In the first half, yeah. In the first half, he was making saves after saves, and then suddenly that opportunity came. The moment the ball left Les Ferdinand's feet, and I looked at Schmeichel's position, I thought, oh, we are in trouble. And he,
Mm.
true enough, he went to the back of the net with
Yeah.
Schmeichel in the back of the net as well.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, you're right. He was trying to push it out and he ended up with the back of
Yeah.
Okay.
And that happened, and then we were like thinking, okay, is this not going to be our day? Because before that, we were peppering the Spurs goal with shots, and we just couldn't score. And Ian Walker had turned into, Gordon Banks or something. Suddenly, we turned into a world-class goalkeeper that day. And then, who scored the goal before halftime?
David
Beckham.
And what a goal it was!
Beautiful goal. Yeah.
Yeah, he needed a goal, a touch of magic like that to break the deadlock. You knew it's either Spurs would make a mistake for us to score, or someone pulls off something like that, a worldie,
Yeah.
to get us back into the game.
And you always see him in the free kicks. Like, that if there was a free kick given to him, he would score. But this was not a free kick. This was open
It was
play.
an open play. Yeah.
And he was on the other side of his favorite post, if you like, with his right foot. And he swerved it in and hit the post and went in. I think that angle that they had, that when the ball hit the post and went in, it just showed how much of anger in that strike and how powerful that strike was. It was
Ferocious.
just unforgettable, man. It was so scrumptious shot, beautiful shot. Yeah.
Yep. And then Andy Cole came in the second half, and we sealed it early doors, right?
Yeah.
Came on, another great goal.
Yeah.
It was a good goal, good finish, good control to clutch the ball out of the air, then to score from there.
Precisely, and we hang on. I mean, I wouldn't say we hang on, because it wasn't like Spurs put us under immense pressure or whatever, but we still could have maybe scored a bit more to have made it more comfortable, but we won eventually, and we won the league. We won the league again. We won the league back from Arsenal.
Yeah.
So that's part one of the treble done, seal.
Mm-hmm.
Part two, FA Cup final. As I mentioned, I think, no disrespect to Newcastle, but I felt it was a formality. Do you guys feel the same going to that final, or you have a bit more trepidation going to the final?
I thought the game settled more after the first goal. I think before that, finals are typically very cagey affairs. And then especially, I think, if I remember correctly, Roy Keane went off injured.
Yes.
And then Terry Sheringham replaced him to play in midfield. So it was like, a bit tentative here and there. But I think after the first goal went in, then, I think United started to settle into the game and do better.
Yeah, I think that... Yeah, carry on, Ram.
Sorry. For me, it was a bit nervy. Whenever this kind of games, like going into Wembley especially, there's always not something that we can predict what's going to happen. And the old Wembley itself, it had reputation of, a lot of upsets that's been caused. So, this is one of those games that I thought we had to be on our best performance. And you are right, Fadzli, that you said that, you said that after the first goal, it settled down a little bit. I think I agree with you on that. Once we scored that first goal, that was when I felt a little bit more calm. Like, okay, I think we're gonna win this. That feeling was there. So yeah, it was nervy for me, but I enjoyed it in the end.
Okay, so that means only I was confident that we're gonna win it from the start. So yeah, Roy Keane came off, and I felt that was a very good tactical switch to put in Sheringham instead of maybe Nicky Butt or another midfielder, or
because Nicky Butt had to be safe for the Champions League final because Keane and Scholes weren't playing.
And Sheringham came in. He played like a playmaker role, like a number 10. Just behind the two strikers. He scored first, right? Within few minutes of coming on, he scored.
Yeah.
And then he set up one for Scholes, and that's it. Game over. Sheringham with the man of the match performance.
Yep. Absolutely.
And now So that's it. Part two of the treble done. The last part now, going into the final against Bayern Munich. Just going to the final itself, I'm sure even if next day you had something on, you would have certainly woken up to have watched this game
For sure.
Yeah.
for sure, right?
First final in 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 31 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And going into the final, just your thoughts going into the final. What do you feel, going to the final? You thought confident, you felt confident, or you felt a bit tentative or cautious?
Also, for me, I was nervous because Keane and Scholes wouldn't be playing. So I was always wondering, like, how would Sir Alex, rejig the midfield? How would he do it?
Mm,
So then when I saw the game, when I saw how they lined up, it was like, oh, Beckham in the middle with Nicky Butt, Giggs on the right, and Blomqvist on the left. But
yeah.
also, I remember like I thought it wasn't a very good performance. Then they went
Yeah.
down 1-0 right after 6 minutes
Yeah.
with Mario Basler's free kick. Then it almost looked, I wondered if the occasion got to the players, because first final in such a long time.
Yeah.
Then I was like, wow, after the last few seasons of heartbreak, finally into the final, whether you see this type of performance. But yeah, what a change in the end.
What an end, right?
Yeah, what an
For,
ending.
for me, it was totally the opposite, actually, to be honest, because after watching United be really, winning the FA Cup, I think I went a bit more at ease because I think it was personally my first time watching United, enter that stage of a competition because I was still 3 years supporting them, right? So watching them, I was a bit more confident. I was like, okay, they are in it. But when I saw the first goal go in, I had a little bit of skepticism around me. It started coming back again. It's like, okay, maybe it's too far, hoping for a third trophy, But I think I gotta give it out to the players, for what they did that day, and they defied all odds. They defied gravity, defied time. I don't know what else, but it was history in the making. So it was the best game to watch until today. If you remember, if to think about the Champions League final, yeah.
Mm. For me, going into the final, I was curious to find out what the midfield would look like. So Beckham and Butt wasn't a surprise for me. I was more surprised about Giggs being on the right and Blomqvist on the left. So that one I felt, and we never really looked comfortable with that arrangement as well in midfield. And as Fadzli correctly pointed out, we didn't start very well, and that early goal just confirmed it. Because if he had not conceded early, maybe we would have grown into the game. Maybe we would have goals change games, right? And that goal, I think, swung the momentum towards Bayern Munich, and they got stronger as the game wore on. They were terribly unlucky. You got to admit that they were terribly unlucky. They could have sealed it 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah, they could have scored a couple more with good counter attacks, but hit the bar and all these things.
Correct. Yeah, and eventually it felt like fated. It was fated to happen that we would win the Champions League. I just wish we had played better in the final and won the Champions League, but at the end of the day, all that counts is winning the trophy.
Yeah. And to be fair, I thought in the second half there were times where they started to attack more and everything. That's where Bayern nearly picked us off with the goals.
Counter-attack,
but as you said, it doesn't really matter as long as you win the trophy.
True. I've seen United win a European trophy already early on as a fan in the Cup Winners' Cup. Yeah. So that I've already seen. And that was against Barcelona as well. That was one final where we were going in as underdogs, I felt. Because Barcelona was that dream team of Barcelona under Johan Cruyff. And to win it, that was something special. But then also I remember losing in the semi-finals in 96-97 to Borussia Dortmund. Coming very close. That was also a bit of a heartbreak because we had so many chances. We didn't take them and we got picked off in both legs, 1-0. And I think I personally felt that game probably accelerated Cantona's decision to retire, because once United lost that semi-final, I felt he probably lost his head and felt, okay, that this is it. He's done with football and he retired. That's what I personally feel. Well, of course, I'm not Cantona. I wouldn't know. But yeah, that final itself, like in '99, I think madness, completely madness. To just score one goal would have been enough. You would have thought, okay,
Yeah.
yes, you scored one. We're going to extra time. Let's see what happens then. The momentum is now in our favor.
Yeah.
But to score two is just absolute crazy madness. How was your house feeling at that time? What were you doing at that time?
I think I was the only one up in my house at that time. So yeah, I was just trying not to shout lah. But I remember one thing that stuck out in my mind was that after Sheringham scored the equalizer, then there was another time where, like, sometimes, like what you mentioned, you score one goal, some teams will be happy to keep the ball, go into extra time, and ride the momentum. But I
Yeah.
remember seeing, I think Steve McClaren or Sir Alex or someone on the touchline, like, urging them to continue to attack instead of like
Just
trying
playing
to
out time.
play
Huh?
for extra
Yeah.
time. Yeah, correct.
Mm.
So that was like, yeah. So that was very
Yeah, it
exciting to
was.
watch.
It was actually Solskjaer was on the left flank.
Mm.
Instead of just running the clock down, he went and won a
He went to
corner.
attack the player.
Yeah,
Yeah,
went to
correct.
attack the player, won a corner, and then we got a chance.
Yeah.
Ram, you're a pretty vocal guy. Did you
Yeah.
wake up the whole neighborhood?
So I think I did. I think I did with the screams. I think I woke up everybody in the house because the next day they thought, what did I see, a ghost or something like that? But no, it's my team won the game. Because I was thinking my uncle, so no one in that family watches football. Like literally no
Okay.
one. I was the only football guy.
Mm.
So with that kind of a feeling, I think it was a feeling that I still have till today. Watching replays of that game gives me goosebumps until today. And yeah, I loved it so much. I was so happy. Yep.
Yeah, certainly wonderful memories of those finals. So winning the treble for me, Manchester United, I felt they did it the hard way.
Mm.
I mean, all due respect to all the other teams that have won the treble before United and after United, because I'm sure everyone faced challenges along the way. It's not been easy for any of the teams that have won the treble. And by merit, I felt every single one that has won the treble deserves it because it's not easy to win. And this is a rare group or rare club of teams that have won the treble. And United belongs to that. But personally, having watched it, being so invested in it as well, might sound a bit biased, but I felt United had a really tough road to the treble because of all the challenges they faced along the way in the Premier League, in the FA Cup, in the Champions League. Because I can't think of a tougher path to the final than United faced in that season. Perhaps there were others, but you got to go into some detail and some research to find. But again, as a fan, off the top of your head right now, thinking about it, such a tough path to the final, not easy, beating Inter, beating Juventus, and then beating Bayern Munich in the final, playing Bayern Munich and Barcelona in the group stage as well.
Yeah.
All not easy teams to face. It's not like, you're playing some, again, with all due respect, some, easy clubs in Europe to get to the final. So that was tough. Champions League, in the Premier League, as I mentioned as well, going all the way, pushed all the way to the final day, not just by Arsenal, but also by teams around them.
Yeah.
And in the FA Cup also, you got already you're playing so many games and you got fixture pile up. You got two replays to play. You had a replay
Back to
against
back.
Chelsea and then a replay against Arsenal.
No
Fixture
winter
pile
break.
up. Yeah, no winter break as well. That's another one. You play through Christmas and New Year. That's amazing achievement. I felt it was amazing achievement. What would you attribute this treble down to, guys?
I think for me, it would have been the quality of opposition. Like what you mentioned, tough games all round throughout the season. But I think maybe nowadays it's very easy to forget because a lot of teams qualify for the Champions League. But the 98-99 season, it was like, I think maybe the second or the third season since they revised the rules of admission. So the teams that were playing were either the winners or the runners-up of their respective countries. So it was really like, quite literally among the best teams in Europe. Although not only the champions, but we also have the second best team. Nowadays, I mean, the criteria for admission is a lot more open. So I guess you can have
Top four
more
now,
varying. Yeah, there is a spectrum of teams that they face.
Yeah.
So is then like what you mentioned, I guess when you play the best teams all around, and then if you're good enough to beat the best teams, I guess it just makes the triumph more deserved or sweeter to experience as a whole.
Yeah.
For sure. Ram?
I think I agree with Fazli as well, because the quality of opposition was very, very important, because that gave us a good test to also get better along the way, because you only get better when you play with the best. And we went through a lot in terms of conceding goals. We were never the team that always scored the first goal. We were more or less the team that conceived the goal first, and we put that into. We were the ones that actually had to come back. So that spirit that we had was something second to none. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I have to say, I have to point this out. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think I give a lot of credit to David Beckham that season, especially because he's grown to fame. Yes, is one thing, but his passing range, his ability to find players from the ranges that he was passing from was just unbelievable. And no player in that entire Premier League or Champions League or Europe could emulate that. So when we see that from him, we knew that when he gets the ball, he's gonna put the ball at your feet. So that was one of the things that I really noticed, and something that we can never emulate.
And I think it's good that you mentioned Beckham also, because
Yeah.
this was coming off the back of World Cup '98. Then, if you
Yes.
remember, right, he
Yes.
was a very public scapegoat for England's exit,
Yes.
and then there was a
Right.
lot of speculation as to whether he would still even be at United and everything. So
Yeah.
it was like I guess you get to see a different side of him. People always think of him as this like fame
Hot-tempered.
hungry
Boy.
person, and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But then they forget, like, how hard he runs in throughout all 90 minutes, and he doesn't give up and everything. And then, like, the theme of the season, he's always in and around the late goals, either supplying
Yeah.
it or scoring them himself. So it
Yeah.
was really, like, I think he was also voted player of the year for that season. And also I think he came in runners up in the Ballon d'Or. So
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
so I
player of the
think, it was
season
a very
was
good.
David Ginola, actually, in that season in the
Oh
Premier
no,
League.
United's player of the season. Sorry,
Oh,
my
okay.
mistake. But for the European one, I think he came in runner up to Rivaldo,
Yeah.
if I remember
Runners up,
correctly.
to Rivaldo, correct.
Yeah.
You're
Very
right.
good season for him.
Yeah, very good season. I mean, a lot of players had a fantastic season that time around. Keane, the leader, Scholes, Beckham, Giggs, of course, Dwight York, Andy Cole, then Solskjaer and Sheringham coming off the bench. Four very good strikers you can rotate with. Defenders, you had Gary Neville, Steady Eddie. Yeah, Wes Brown, making his debut as a youngster, and he was solid.
Yep.
He was, really steady. He felt like he was a veteran. Playing there in defense or centre back or right back, and was really solid. Yapstam, of course, great signing we made. Yapstam. I think also Ronnie Johnson had a good season. Henningberg, Fadzli has already pointed out. Dennis Irwin, Phil Neville. Everyone had a good season. I don't think anyone you could say was poor or flopped.
Like even David May, who didn't play a lot, then suddenly got to play in the FA Cup final. Also had a good shift in that game.
Yes, Jesper Blomqvist also, I think, was a good able deputy for Giggs. Didn't let us down. And also very important thing to point out, Peter Schmeichel. His form wasn't great. And then Sir Alex sent him on a holiday. He came back.
I remember that.
Fantastic after that. Before that, he was in poor form, poor shape. And he was really tired. Eventually, he was made known to us that he was actually very tired from having played without rest.
The World Cup, probably.
World Cups, European Championships, and then back to the Premier League, back to back. So Peter Schmeichel, great season. It was the final season for him at United.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, just speaking about Sir Alex and Steve McClaren. First of all, Steve McClaren, I think, came in halfway through the season. Don't think any one of us knew much about Steve McClaren, because before that we all knew about Brian Kidd as Sir Alex assistant.
Right-hand man.
Right-hand man. And then Steve McClaren came in. Firstly, you're a coach yourself. We all know, we have of course heard many times from accounts of the players that Sir Alex isn't much of a coach. He's a manager. He manages everything. He says the right things. He sets tactics. He's the guy who runs the show from the senior team right down to the youth team. He runs the whole place. In fact, he was the godfather. Just want your thoughts on Sir Alex and Steve McClaren, especially his role in this treble.
If I think because it came from the time where we didn't have, we don't have internet and all these things. So I think things, whatever I got to know about Steve McClaren was usually either from reading the United magazine or maybe from some newspaper articles and everything. So I think for me at that time, what I remember from him was that he was signed from Derby. And then pretty much as an unknown, like, it was like a low profile signing. In a way, like it was very typical of that season. Like for example, when you look at Blomqvist, Yapstam, and also Dwight York, a little bit of, they are not so-called Galactico signings. But, and even let's say, for example, if you look at the squad composition, they're not made up of world beaters everywhere, but somehow they complement each other. So I think like signing Steve McClaren was also in a way it like completed that picture of the technical team, so to speak. So I think what I remember reading was that he's behind the training sessions and everything but like looking at seasons where like how United performed when Sir Alex didn't have an assistant, I think I'm inclined to agree with you in that, like, he's a manager and he needs someone to organize and conduct maybe this particular aspect of training like previously, you see people like Walter Smith or Carlos Queiroz, so it's like I think he tends to suffer, so to speak, when he doesn't have a dedicated assistant with him. So I think so like judging from how successful past United teams have been, so I think the role of Sir Alex's assistant, which actually is a very important one. You have a quality one, and the team can do wonders with how they play on the pitch.
So testament as well. This success also testament to the quality of Steve McClaren as
Steve
a
McClaren,
coach.
I would say.
Ram, the seasons after, in the new millennium now, do you feel United disappointed by not winning more after winning the treble?
Sorry, guys. I think my internet connection was a bit unstable. I'm back.
Okay. Do you catch my question?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I was saying we are now in the new millennium, the season after winning the treble. Do you feel United disappointed by not winning more trophies?
I would say I was happy that they won the title again. So I think that the retention of being Premier League champions was very, very important. But yes, I think they should be able to try their level best to also hold on to what they have won the previous season. But I was contented, to be honest, because I think the Premier League was something that I always root for. I think once my team wins the Premier League, that's what I want. That's, to me, that's the biggest trophy that I can think of. So I wasn't too disappointed, but I was just, how do I put it? I was a little bit more of like, now you want a treble, so kind of like, you want them to do it every single season if it's possible. But yeah.
Okay. Fadzli, yourself?
Yeah, I think agree with some of Ram's points. I think one of the things that I guess in a way our perception is colored. Our perception of success is colored. Sometimes you look, for example, from the year 2000, they say after the treble. Like looking back, you realize that actually it's not too bad because there was a three-peat. United won the success title in 3 successive seasons, and then like we all know how hard the domestic season in England is. And then like what Ram mentioned, it takes a lot of effort, planning, and a lot of things to go your way also to be able to come out on top at the end of the season. And then like for me also, like I've never viewed United as a team to always be competing for the Champions League. So it was more like, okay, let's see how it goes. And I think looking back, maybe not too bad I guess, because the season after, it got knocked out at home by Real Madrid. Also again, bad defending and everything. And then the season after
It was a topsy-turvy game as well.
Yeah, and then the 2001 year was by Bayern Munich. Also,
Bayern Munich,
I think, so it was like, it was like, for me, it's like, okay, I'm happy to at least have seen United win it at least once in my lifetime.
Yeah, that was
But
the
so it was like for Europe, for me, I didn't view United as a team to always compete for the Champions League, like for example Real or Milan would be doing. For me, it's like these are clubs with the UCL DNA in them. They always somehow they'll find a way to turn it on and win it. But for United, I guess like if it happens, good. If not, then okay. What to do? We'll just appreciate the good moments when they come.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like it or not, the other team Champions League DNA is Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Yeah, that's true.
Sad but
yeah,
true,
that's
yes.
true. That's true. Yeah.
For me personally, I felt that after having watched United always making it tough either making it tough for themselves, or they've either have to go and win the title on the final day of the season, or they have to come back from a deficit to win the title, or they lost the title despite leading in the title race early on in the season. The 2 seasons after the treble, 99 2000 and 2000 2001, we completely strolled. We were strolling
Yeah.
in the league
Domestically,
title.
yeah, very
Domestically
dominant.
we were strolling.
We
There
were
are no
some
match.
points ahead, right?
Yeah, we were massive. We were like winning the title probably in April or March. We didn't even need
Yeah.
to go to the
And then
final
the
day of the
99
season.
2000 season was the one where they finished with 97 goals before, that,
Yeah.
if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, that was
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah. So in the Premier League, I felt we went a couple of notches up in those 2 seasons. But I felt that had an effect on our performances in Europe, because I
Europe.
felt, the probably lack of competitiveness affected us. Also, I felt tactically we were found out because we were using the 4-4-2 every single game. Teams in Europe, they are tactically more aware and astute. They knew how to counter against us and play against us. So, the bigger teams especially. So that's where we got found out. And we didn't make it. I personally felt that maybe we should have won maybe one more Champions League in that time. Out of those seasons as well, 2001, 2002, we got knocked out by Bayer Leverkusen in the semi-final. That was a pity.
Yeah.
That was a pity. So, that is my personal feeling about it. I felt, we did well in the Premier League, but I felt in Europe, even though I do agree with you, Fadzli, on the lack of DNA, but I felt we should have pressed on and
Underwhelming a bit.
underwhelming. Yeah, felt underwhelming. More, I felt tactically than anything else. All right, so from the 2000s and the 99 glory years, where is Manchester United today?
We are giving 10 hugs. Pretty.
Fadzli?
I think
Ram
still
has
in
just
the
summed it up so well.
I think still very much in the midst of a rebuild, but I think maybe one thing that is different now compared to maybe in the last half decade would be, I guess, the amount of power or responsibility being given to the coach. So I think like previously, I think once after Sir Alex has left, I think David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, OGS, all of them have struggled with certain aspects of player power. I felt like.
Yeah.
Like, from reading the reports and, nowadays with social media, the things that they leak and the things that they talk about. So I thought like, you're always undermining the authority of the coach. And then it's like between the two, it's always easier to sack the coach. Then, the coaches always pay the price for the underperformance of the players. So, but looking at how Ten Hag has handled some of the issues with it in a more, drastic way, and seeing that he has been allowed to do it, I guess maybe it's a signal that, the coach is he's being given more authority to run the ship as and how he feels like it, as how he sees fit. And then hopefully, he gets to mold the team in his image, and then maybe, because otherwise, the players are always going to undermine, if they're like, I don't like this play, I don't like this coach, then we see all the nonsense that you can see in the
I also think that the Ronaldo issue was a big eye opener for all the players, because I think previously all the managers wouldn't know how to handle him in that aspect of it. Like, Rangnick and all these other managers, they used to always put him on. But when Ten Hag showed that he actually had that philosophy
He's
very
the boss.
similar to Fergie. Yeah, no one is bigger than the club. He had that mentality, and I think that shows to all the players that now it's a fair, clean slate. Basically, has to has to gel, and it gives opportunities to players to really shine and express themselves, and that's one thing I love about what he's doing right now. And it just is, it's still a rebuild. I know, it's still too early to say, but I think what he has done this season has proven that he can do wonders in upcoming seasons to come, and I'm looking forward to it.
I would say he has rejuvenated flagging spirits
Yeah.
amongst our uh, fellowship, I guess. But yeah, agreed. I think we are in transition, and for the first time, it feels like we are in a transition that is going somewhere progressively,
Yeah.
rather than just in a transition and then hoping, okay, let's see what happens. But I mean, we are still going to be in that position where we'll see at the end of season what we have won, because we could still win a treble of trophies, or
Yeah.
treble of cups, in fact, I would say. Or maybe we might just end up with one or two.
Yeah.
You never know how many we'd end up with at the end of the season. But also, what happens next season is also vital.
Yeah.
And that I feel is linked to the ownership of the club as well. The sooner that gets resolved, the better it is, because it gives us more time to plan and prepare for the upcoming season. The signings Ten Hag makes and the club makes next season are going to be vital to,
Yeah.
to where we are going to head to. I feel
Yeah.
because
Russ.
I remember when Jose took over, and the first season he had was fantastic. We did great, we won trophies. And then the following season, I felt the signings we made were underwhelming. And then even more so in the third season of Jose. So that felt like a decline. So I really hope this doesn't happen here under Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought, to be fair, after Jose left, I thought there was a bit of a rebuild that was happening with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think you can see, like, he knew what he wanted to do, but I think the issue for him was that I always felt that his teams tend to struggle when you have to attack the opponent. Like,
Yeah.
Solskjaer's teams tend to do very well when we are not the favorite and we are always being attacked. So the counter attacks were always very good. I think that's how United tended to win games. But I thought that, and also Solskjaer's team like came very close to winning something, just that they
Yeah.
fell short in the Europa League final. And I think the following season, when they signed Ronaldo, then I guess maybe he couldn't really fit with the football that Solskjaer wanted to play. Then I think it led to the performances becoming a bit more disjointed. Then I guess eventually he paid for it with his job, sadly. Yeah, but I guess it worked out in the end in a way, because I think Eric Ten Hag still, I would say, is a better coach, and I think we are doing
Better
better than we
manager.
were before that. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say.
better coach, better manager as well. Because I also agree, Ram, that he gives everyone a chance. So if you're not playing well, off you go. That's my one of biggest gripe with Solskjaer, was that even if the player was not playing well, he was still starting. And we know who that
Mm.
is. But
McFred.
yeah, that is one of my biggest pet peeves under Solskjaer. That he kept doing that, and you bought like someone like Donny Van de Beek, who would come in and was doing so well at Ajax and all, and you
Yeah, he didn't
so
really get much of a
criminally,
chance,
yeah, so
Yeah.
sadly.
criminally underutilized him. It was like, oh my god! And at one point, he even felt like he was gonna do the same with Cavani, but thankfully, the guy's quality stood out, and he had no choice, got to play him. He felt like, at times also, he felt like signings were forced upon Solskjaer, and he didn't feel like he had power. I felt maybe it was a bridge too far for him, and we shouldn't have even made him permanent. That's my opinion. That we should have even made him a permanent manager for United. Interim was fine, but then should have gone for a better manager. But that's all in the past right now. Ten Hag, I think that's one thing I like, is that he gives players opportunity. You play well, you stay in the team. You don't play well, okay, I can rotate you with someone else, and then maybe later on I give you a chance. If you can take it, good. Otherwise, if someone else is playing really well and you just get a big part role. That's what used to happen under Sir Alex as well. So that's what you want to see, players playing on merit, and there's some consistency, something we're building onto. Something looks like it, but let's see what the future holds. I think the last few years since Alex has retired probably has caused us to be more pragmatic and cautious when it comes to United and getting our hopes up.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think also
Fine.
because we are in a
Yeah.
unique position because at that until that point, I think Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger were the only long-serving Premier
Yeah.
League managers. So I think
Yeah.
fans of other clubs might be used to 3-4 years before they change managers, but for
Yeah.
United fans, it's like what, 30 years of Sir Alex. Oh, sorry, yeah, like 26 years, sorry, of Sir
Yeah.
Alex. Then suddenly, so one day he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Very
Correct.
different.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Very
that's just
different.
life. There's one day
Yeah.
everything's gonna end.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, final words now. What would you like to see United do in the future? Not just future. Not just I'm just not just gonna say, okay, I want them to win a league. I want them
Hmm.
to win a Champions League. I think that's a given. But just right now, next season, what would you want to see United do?
I think just don't concede so many goals. To be honest, we are rebuilding a team and losing games like 6-3, 7-0, and 4-0. It gets very tiring. To be honest, yes, we are a good team. But I think to see the kind of score lines happening to us, I don't think we deserve that kind of treatment. So I think first and foremost, we just have to tighten up at the back. Be a team that scores goals at the same time we know how to defend. So I think I want to see next season, like more solid at the back. I think the midfield just needs. It's good what we have now, but I think we need to have some young blood coming in as well. We can't rely on McFred, all the time. you know, and of course, yes, our forward line. I'm happy with our forward line, but I think we need to have some competition, for Rashford, to keep him to make him get better as you go along. Yeah,
Yeah, we need someone to score goals.
yeah, absolutely. Not Weghorst though. I don't want
Yeah,
Weghorst.
yeah, yeah. Certainly not. Yeah, as well as he has done, I think, but still not really at the level that we expect
Yeah,
of a Manchester United forward.
yeah,
Fadzli?
I think for me, I will go back to I think the way the club is run or the way the club does things. I think like
Yeah.
growing up where as in from where we were, I think United have never been a team with that signs famous players for large amounts of money, for example. So usually their signings are either very understated, but somehow they complete the squad. Or in a way that's how I remembered it for the most part uh, as being what you call it as being a United fan. So like
It's either
giving
that or
auto
they sign a player that maybe is already playing in the Premier League, done well, good.
yes, like
They
known
identify, yeah, known player who's familiar with the league, and they know that
mm,
okay, this guy is going to perform for us, and then they
yeah,
spend a bit more. In a
yeah, like the
nutshell, what you're
best of
saying is in a nutshell, what you're saying is like how Liverpool have rebuilt their team under Klopp. The way they make the
yeah,
signings and players coming through the youth ranks and all that is exactly
mm,
what we used to do years ago under Sir
yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, and also like what we can see with Eric Ten Hag, I guess giving authority back to the manager. I think previously it was also like that. Like the manager has a lot of control over how he wants to run the show, and then if the results are not forthcoming, then he has to pay for it with his job. But at least you're being fair to the person. It's like
Yeah.
otherwise you're tying, like for example, you're tying up the manager's hands, and then when the results don't go the team's way, then he also has to pay for it, which I don't feel is very fair because
Mm.
he's already handicapped before he starts his work. So I think
yeah,
like this type of cultural reset that I think OGS attributed to when he first took the reins, I thought it was a good thing. Then also like we see lesser instances of the player power or dressing room toxicity. So it's like I think at least there is the dressing room is well managed in that sense with the right people. Like sometimes you wonder like, oh, why did this team sign this player? But actually maybe besides the footballing qualities, there are also personal qualities that make him or that make the group better in that
Yeah.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I just hope to see more of that continue. It seems like we are coming onto it in the last few years, lesser of the Ed Woodward type of signings. So yeah, so I guess it's more about team building now. So hopefully we build a better team and continue and see what happens in the future. Because I mean, to be honest, there will always be wins and losses in football. You never know
Yeah.
when the next trophy is going to come and everything. So
Mm.
I think and what every supporter would like is that the team is well run commercially and also in a footballing sense. And then we'll just see what happens on the pitch as we go along.
All right. Well said, Fadzli, as usual, and Ram. Thanks a lot for sharing your memories. Even both of you, I hope you had enjoyed this trip down memory
Reminiscing.
lane. Most
Oh
part of the
yes,
show.
very
Most part of the
nostalgic.
show.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raj, for this, and thank you for making me feel old. But thank you for the show.
I feel as old as you, bro. Oh yes, it has been wonderful, guys. So thanks a
Yep.
lot for taking your time out to speak to us.
Yeah.
And do carry on your support for us. And for the fans listening in, again, do carry on the support for us. Do spread the word of this episode and all the other episodes that we've done. It's me, Ras, signing out. See you again sometime soon. Cheers.
Okay.
Yeah. Beckham into Sheringham.